Hey, it's your girl Nicole, and you're listening to the Risers Hub podcast. And today I want to introduce you to Joe, the wellness curator, the founder of Obsidian Mindset and the Obsidian Wellness Club. And I want to take a deep dive or a long run into Joe's personal growth, wellness, and transformation. I'm excited about having Joe because as much as I love talking about women's health, mindset, and overall well-being, Joe feels the same way about the Black community and those who are underserved and underfunded. He is a very forward thinker when it comes to wellness and healthy living. Joe's passion is evident in his actions, both for himself and for others, as well in his own daily disciplines. So welcome, Joe. How are you today?
Hi, Nicole. How are you? Happy Sunday.
Yes, happy Sunday. It's a beautiful day outside, and we're inside doing a podcast. It's so much fun.
It's like a place I'd rather be. I'd rather be.
So how you been doing?
Pretty well. Did my long run yesterday.
Okay.
Getting ready for some races, some big things. But definitely some ready for the Risers Hub.
Yes, yeah.
Overall, just really excited, and we're in a really
Yes, we are. And I've known you for about 2 or 3 months. We were talking about that earlier. I think it's longer. I knew of you for maybe 6 or 7 months, but I think we've been really talking about wellness and health and just being friends for the past 2 or 3 months. And I completely enjoy my time with you. So as you know, I meet most of the people that I know through running, but we started talking about wellness and health and found out that we're basically, living the same path. So today I want you to talk about your journey because I noticed you've been posting pictures from your past and your present, and you look very different from your past. And I think there's an interesting story behind that. So what inspired you to make the changes that you've made in your healthy lifestyle, and how did you get here today?
Sure. So besides me growing lots, I've had a lot of change over the last, I would say, half a decade or decade. So I guess my wellness journey, if I'm thinking about me as a person, started ironically on January 23rd, 2011. I always remember that because that's like the first day I consider my wellness journey. And it all started, I was in my room. It was a Sunday, busy after work or busy with work in general. And I just remember just being on the bed and, where most of the changes happened, it's all Facebook. This is the time where Facebook was big. Nothing's not big now, but it's like super, like everyone was on it. And I was just going through pictures of, my college time, I just started with college and looking at my packs and just wondering, like, how did I get? That was just the question I remember coming through, like, how did I get here? And then also, no justice to anyone, but like, why didn't no one tell me? Why didn't no one tell me?
Yeah.
But if I'm being realistic, just one, I think of the few that came to play, but one, like, my personality type, as well as just, like, I would say, for folks that are bigger, for those that have flaws, especially when it comes to pictures, they know how to hold themselves. They know how to, take pictures. They know how to shift their weight to make it look a certain way for the camera. So that's one thing. I think I was always pretty good at that since I've been bigger my whole life. Or through that and avoiding cameras altogether. And then two, I think it was just the fact that I knew as a person that I was led with love. I was led with just compassion. And I felt my folks resonating with that.
Yeah.
And then therefore my week was just like this thing in the back of the mind. It's just like this, I don't want to say the elephant in the room, but it was this thing that it was not very prevalent. But after that, and when I took that step into myself of like, how did I get here? Especially knowing that diabetes runs in my family, high blood pressure, the things that I ate, it really was just like a ton of rich tea. Once and you just like, I have to think a little bit bigger. I have to think a little bit. And then from there, I decided that day that I would go to the local gym, my LA Fitness, which I still love that gym in New York City. And I got a trainer. And then from there, stuff with it. I found things that I love. I found running, although it took a long time for me to get outside and run. It took a long and a lot of proof.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, I just continued. That's what I think of it. 13 years career.
That's fantastic. That's a pivotal moment. So, even if you're not a big person or a small person or a short person or a tall, whatever, the point is that he asked himself, how did I get here? And that's something I asked myself when I was in a bad marriage and I could look at myself in the mirror and I was underweight and I wasn't feeling myself and I wasn't looking at who I thought that I was. I was looking at a shell of myself. And that is a pivotal moment for anyone. So I really want you to listen to the things that he's giving us and telling us, but understand that it doesn't have to necessarily be about weight, but it could be about your mental state. It could be about a situation that you're in and you're trying to move to either another level or just get out of that situation. So think about, how did I get here, and how that was a pivotal moment in your life. Think about those moments and where are you going to go next?
Yeah, and I think I didn't have the age for it then, but now what I call it being present, right? Just really thinking about where you are now. And I love how you cap that very well. How did I get here? It doesn't need to be a bad thing either.
Right.
I think one thing about being present and like that you want to level up. I'm in a good spot right now, but I'm still thinking about how did I get here? And that's in my good voice, in my good voice, I'm like, but that's not where I want to be in a year.
Right.
So how do I get to that next level? What are things that works, right? I'm not probably thinking about, oh my God, I suck. I didn't do this, this, or this. And they're like, oh, these things actually work for me. How do I replicate that and make it better so I can get to the next level? So it works on all time.
And I like that you said that in your good voice because because a lot of people think, oh, life coaching and this motivational stuff, this inspirational stuff. You don't have to be in a bad place. You might just want to, like he said, level yourself up. Yes, there are people in places where they are asking themselves, how did I get here? And it's not a good place. And they're trying to get to a better place. But then there's also people who are if you look at them from the outside in, they're in a really, really good spot, but they're always on the go. They're always looking for that next best thing for themselves because that's how they become their best self. So that's what I want you guys to think about. So now I want to take a deep dive into the Obsidian Mindset. And let's talk about that, how it got started and where you want to go with it and what's the core mission.
All right. So this is one of my babies, the Obsidian Mindset, Obsidian Wellness Club. It started after my transformation. I got a lot of questions afterwards. How do you do it? Like, where do I start? One of the things I always am very humbled about when folks say, the reason why I trust talking to you, the reason why I like asking questions is because it feels like you're like a normal person that did it. I think, some folks, man, born with abs and, I'm not jealous, but no, you got that. But those abs don't come when I want to. So I take that as a humbling factor and just use that anytime I do anything. So a little bit back about Obsidian. I wanted to find a platform for me to tell my story about wellness. And it was not linear. I also wanted to get other folks on a platform to talk about their wellness story. I think there's a time, when you think about wellness, let's throw it out. Close your eyes right now and think about a wellness magazine. Who's on the cover? 99% of the time, not someone that might look like you. Mm-hmm. Or literally, I'm a black man with dread. Especially 2011. So I'm thinking like, how do I change stories that center ourselves in it? So therefore, you can start to think of wellness in a space that works for you. I think a lot of times we fail in wellness because our goal looks like something that we don't look like, or it looks like something that's not attainable, that's not for us, because we have dreams that are crafted by folks that don't look like us. So what does it look like to redefine wellness so that we are included in the story, right? If you are bigger, you might not see yourself on a magazine, but that doesn't mean that automatically want to lose weight. You might want to enact it, right? And you get to do that. Everyone is very wellness that looks like them, that's catered for them, that's curated for them. Kind of fill that gap in with that one story that's been the narrative for decades, years, hundreds of years, and making sure that we're all seeing ourselves in it. So the reason why I chose Obsidian overall is the stone my friend gave to me a while back, and because it really resonated with me. It's a very powerful stone. I felt it when I first touched it. But when I looked at it inside, it was rippling with other colors and different things like that. And it reminded me of wellness, right? You look at it, like you might think that black stone is about strong and straight. But if you look at it, there's other things that goes into it. Your mental, your emotional, your environmental. So you like to talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness. So I'm going to say none of I always end up with the one, but it's like physical wellness. You have your intellectual wellness. You have your emotional wellness. You have your spiritual wellness, environmental, whether that's the earth itself or the way your room looks like. Lord knows my room is a mess. My brain is a mess. And I don't know if it's a chicken or an egg. You're in your financial wellness, your patient wellness, and social wellness, so your friends and family, loved ones. So I know it's a lot to take in because it does feel like a lot. Like I can barely focus on my fitness. Now you want me to look at all these other things, but like we were talking about earlier, it does. They all weave into each other. They all touch each other. Sometimes when my finances are messed up, or my mindset around finances is messed up, I physically cannot go to the gym. Right? There are some folks that can't do things because of their environment. Right? There's some communities that don't have the environment to be physical. Right? I've lived in places where there were sidewalks that are easily accessible, right? And how does that affect your physical wall? So it's just like these little things where you still have to think about how they all play into your overall wellness. And again, you can't have 100% in every dimension. I think that's very important. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll be self-critical myself, mm-hmm. but it's just always checking your blind spots. Mm-hmm. Social, am I paying attention to the family? It's like, are we good here? Cool. Financial, am I not, are there anything I've been ignoring intentionally or unintentionally? All right, cool. Okay. And now people just kind of figure out, okay, I feel good. How do I feel in my body in this moment? All right, cool. So that's kind of what Obsidian wants to do. Just make sure you're just looking at all the dimensions, looking at all the blind spots, but also making sure that your story is being told and you craft a wellness plan that looks good for you.
Exactly. And anytime that you hear someone, we'll use the example of losing weight or being physically fit, and they get to a point where they've met their goal. And then they gain the weight back, or they are a couch potato again, or whatever it is. And you're wondering, okay, what happened there? It's usually something that's in the other elements. So they worked on their physical, but they didn't work on their mental, or they didn't work on their spiritual. And so when you're doing the coaching, we break it down into the 3 elements because they're easier to like digest. So you have your physical, mental, and your spiritual, or body, mind, and soul. And then we can work through those other dimensions that actually feed into those 3 dimensions. So that's why it's important to know all 8 of them. And they are physical, emotional, occupational, social, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, and financial. Those are the 8 elements.
Because yes, the physical in the first part, and to me, in hindsight, the folks are going to describe that was the easier part. But baby, when it came to mind, that's when things start to shift. Like it really clicked when I had to start going to therapy. What I knew was starting therapy, and it's very interesting because I started around 2012. And back then, therapy was not something where folks were talking about.
Oh, no.
They're like, there's something that was just sort of very shameful. This is kind of like black people, therapy. Are you okay? But I think it's when I started going to therapy, I started finding other black people working with therapy or talking about it actively. Then I was like, okay, I can see how this is helping me. There are a lot of things where I was like, I can just run it out. I can just lift it away and figure it out. Actually, no, I need to go to a professional and talk about it. And there's issues that still come up.
Right.
But I know the tools. I have the tools in my toolbox to kind of either combat it or like to talk myself out of it. Even 13 years later.
And it's what's interesting is that let's look at this whole picture really quick. I try not to do this, but I'm going to do this. So first of all, our country is very young. Our country is very young. Slavery itself is extremely young. And so when you're talking every 5 to 10 years, this is one culture that has changed over and over and again. The fact that me and Joe are sitting here having a conversation on a podcast is a privilege that I don't think our ancestors ever thought would ever happen, let alone with a laptop and a phone and all this other stuff. So with all these different cultural differences and all these different things that we've gone through, we need therapy. I'm sorry, because we have parents who are very old school and they do things a certain way because society expected them to act a certain way to stay in their own lane. And now we're in a world where we have, the internet, we have Google, we have so many, like the things that my daughters are doing right now, my grandmother would never imagine doing. My youngest daughter just came from Spain and she was eating food in Madrid. My grandmother would never have thought that could happen. So when we're talking about therapy in the Black community, this is what we're talking about. Our generations have changed in so many different ways every 5 to 10 years since the 1800s. It's changed over time. So it's extremely important to take care of our body, our mind, and our soul. And if you're asking, so why are we talking about weight and mental? It's because those things are directly affected in our culture. That's why it's important to talk about this. Joe, we talked about the Obsidian Mindset. I know that you've had a podcast, you put on events, you've helped your community. What is your biggest passion within that realm that you've built?
Oh man, the Obsidian is worldwide. It is now to be. It's something where it's something I will think about as a seed, where I just want to spread the seed to everywhere and then see what grows. I think there are folks in Africa, folks in Europe, folks in Australia that can take a message and then see where they want to run with it. I'm not giving clear cut, like, this is the program that you need to follow for success. Because
Right.
I don't know your full story, but what I can do is I can give you my story, and that can be a changing factor for you. I can be a part of your raw story some way. I can give a platform to someone else that has a story that I've never even thought of that could change my mindset and my thought process.
Yeah.
Those are things I want to do from a podcast and storytelling standpoint. And that's always what I think about Obsidian Mindset. I think of it like the broadcast.
Yes.
While Obsidian Wellness Club, that's where it's like the field, that's the play. That's where we take everything early to put into action. The three things that we like to say for Obsidian Wellness Club is to explore, experiment, and play. And exploring is very important to me because when I first started wellness, it made it seem like I could have to go to the gym. I was like,
Yeah.
just go on a treadmill, you'll be fine. And it's just like, for me, luckily that works. I love lifting. I love running. But one of the things that hurts me the most, and this is something very weird, I just don't like when someone says, I run and I hate it. It just makes me cringe because to me, you should not be what you're doing in terms of physical things.
Right.
So it's not going to stick. If you don't like running, girl, don't run. That's the bottom. Don't do it. Stop. Pause. I know. But in the same time, I use that term to also explore and see what else I like to do. I've done hiking. I've done running. I've done pole dance. And let me tell you, man,
6'2".
I've done pole dance. And let me tell you, shout out to all the pole dancers, like anyone that does that, because that was the hardest work I'd done in the laughter.
Are you serious?
The amount of upper body strength I had to, which I don't have clearly,
Oh,
is wild. So every time I see any pole dancer or anyone that does that, I give a salute. As an athlete. Why? And they make it look so why?
yeah.
And so I also have to say, it's all about exploring. Figure out what that looks like to you. Experiment. Try not leave one. I don't like it because I tried it. It's very different. Like I don't like it because I enjoy it. And the last play, I think it's very big. We as adults are taught to just work and just do this. Follow this run schedule, do it. And it's like, no, we should go back to our childhood self and play. That's why we were so creative. That's why we took risks. That's why we didn't realize we didn't like it and then did something else. So I'm very big on Obsidian, the folks that I work with, the folks on the team, the members, to find a play. Let's bring joy and wellness because that's when you have that joy. And even when you don't feel like getting up and doing it, and I know all the runners know that feels like I don't feel like running, don't feel like going to the gym, but when you find that joyful thing, whether that's soccer, pole dance, whatever it is, you're like, I don't feel like it, but I'm really excited to go trying this out. And that's what we kind of want to strive for.
Exactly. So it can be something as simple as gardening to something as complex as training for a marathon with, at your fastest pace. It could be anything in between those two things. So
it could be a walk. First of all, let me tell you, during the pandemic, I learned the power of a walk.
Yes.
The power of walking in a space where nature, also running with them, but just walking at lunchtime, it changed my mental. And like, again, all the dimensions, walking gets so many of them. So I'm just walking every day. No shame to that. No shame to that.
Exactly. At least 20 minutes a day of walking, folks, will do a body good. All right, Joe. So wellness is such a broad and personal concept. From your experience, what are some foundational practices that anyone can start incorporating into their daily life right now?
That's such a good question. We've got smart goals, right? That be very smart, specific, measurable,
Attainable, realistic, and it has to have time.
Or time down. And that's the reason why I think that's so important is because it's about knowing what you can do now and then what you're going for. Like even for me where I'm now, I'm not going to do a marathon that literally now attainable. Although I might try to act like it is, it's not, right? So it's about knowing where you are and take small incremental steps. I'm very big on small incremental steps. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself on a past Because I know a lot of folks like, I need to get back to my hike. They, I use call. All right. Let's get into where we're going to be in the future. Does that mean in a month, I'm going to lose 2 pounds? We can work with that.
Yep.
Right? If it means in a month, I'm going to try to run 2 miles without running out of breath, we can work with that.
Yep.
So it's just about being, again, present, knowing yourself and making those goals as attainable as possible. And also having different levels of goals. I have a goal monthly, I have a where I want to be in a year from now. Just kind of taking that approach, giving yourself grace. So I'm going to say a lot of things that are not very gym-esque, but it's like giving yourself grace. You're going to mess up. You're not going to make every single thing you were supposed to go to, and that's fine. You're not going to hit all your benchmarks.
Right.
Just being able to say, I'm here today, and I'm this much better than yesterday. That'll get you far. And then lastly, I always try to add gratitude that comes from just doing heavy yoga, but also just being able to say, this is where I am now. I could be anywhere else. Things can be happening to me, but I am here and alive and making a stride to get to my next place. So I'm very grateful. I have a support system. I have a family. I have a roof over my head. I have food to nourish me. And, anything. I always say we are only one random thing away from happening, from just being, homeless. Or there's so many things. Just take one situation from having that we will not have anything that we have. So it's just very important to just be grateful for everything. But everything else falls away.
Exactly. And to add on to what you said, you can even start with being grateful that you have another day that you can start over again. I mean, it can be that little.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm going to say this probably in every podcast, what is the beauty about all of this coaching and wellness and holistic blah, blah, blah. What's so interesting about it is that if you mess up on a Tuesday and you wake up on a Wednesday, be grateful you woke up on a Wednesday and you can start all over again.
We snap.
He's snapping. So with all the overwhelming amount of wellness information out there, how can someone discern what's best for them and avoid common pitfalls?
Hey, that's a question.
That's a loaded one.
I do that. I'm like, I need to go to TikTok and see if I can pick up the word. I don't think it's just wellness. I think I said before, like, when I first started, it was like the prime of Facebook and the prime of Tumblr. So there was no TikTok. Instagram, I don't think was around or was as big. For me, it was just a lot of just doing the work, right? Just asking folks that are trusted advisors. But even if they tell me something, I'm back. So this is where being an accountant comes into play. I don't know, one of our big quotes is trust but verify.
Yes.
I take that quote in every aspect of my life. I'll trust the source, but I'm always going to check for something else. Even if it's looking now, everything politics and everything like going on news, I read it, but then I was go on Google and I verify that's true because you don't know who was like behind that Twitter account,
right,
behind that source. So I do that. It's just a little wellness. Everyone has an opinion about it.
Everybody.
Everyone has a different thought process. Even some of the doctors, they all have their own biasing. They all have their own background information. Some are more Eastern and what. So it's just about finding out what works for you. Really, and again, about being present intentionally in your body. I like to do things and then write how my body feels you doing it. So if I'm doing vegetarian for a month, how does my body feel when I'm bound? Definitely. If I give up, I also try to add these in and take things out. So I do pre-workout, but then if I feel a way when I'm taking it, I'll write that down. Then if I don't, then I'll write stuff down. So I feel like I'm a little scientist when it comes to my body. And again, very intentional about my body and trying with either see what works best.
That's awesome. And so for those looking to deepen their wellness journey, what resources or first steps do you recommend?
You kind of have to know who's coming from, and if you see yourself, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. There are certain folks that are a little bit more softer, they have more of that tone, the conversational, that works for you, work for me. So I think when it comes to that, and when you want to get more reaches, you have to know the tone of what you're looking for and what works for you, and then kind of go down that route. So if you're very on I need to be able to see it and feel it, then you need to go and start experimenting more, right?
Right.
Some people are very logical, reading, researching.
Exactly.
Okay, so then you need to go out and do that. You can't just assume something to come into your lap. I think that's very big. if you want the information, you have to go for it. If you want the information to be right, you have to make sure it's right by verifying it. And I think those are big two factors. I can give you plenty of reels and TikToks and articles and podcasts that are great. But I think what's more important is how to get there and how to do it yourself. So we can give you a whole list of it.
Exactly.
But how you get to it, I think is more important. So you can do it on your own when we're not here.
Yes. And then part of my RISE theory is research, identify, strategize, and execute. So what you need to do is when I talk about researching yourself, when you're researching yourself, you have to know who you are and how you digest information. And that will give you an idea of what type of coach you need, what type of person you need to look for. If you are on these social media platforms, look who's certified. Find out who, like he said, who looks like you, who talks like you, and who's actually done the work and you see the results. Because a lot of times on social media, you see these pretty people on there and you see the final result. Well, you don't know if, like you said, you don't know if they were born with those abs or if they actually were, or if they were actually 300 pounds on Tuesday and now they're 250 on Wednesday. You have to do the research and you have to find people who are going to, resonate with you. Okay, so looking to the future, what's next for you in the Obsidian Mindset? Are there any upcoming projects or initiatives our listeners should be looking out for?
So Obsidian Mindset right now, we have been on there for a little bit, though we're coming back podcast episode 3 or 2. Something after that, we have a newsletter that's going to be coming out starting in April.
Oh, awesome.
So you can go to any of my social media, whether that's my current Joe the Wellness Curator, Obsidian Mindset, or Obsidian Wellness Club. We'll have more information on how to join that. I'm so excited for the things that come out of that. And I'm doing an event in person and virtual. One of my biggest things after the pandemic, and even during or even before, is I have a wealth of knowledge inside of me. And it's going to sound weird, but in a way, I sometimes feel selfish by keeping it to myself. And it's like, what's the point of having a lot of information you don't share?
Okay.
So I'm very big on sharing it. So there's going to be a lot of more events to come. This quarter, so Q1 2024, I've done a holistic food or holistic eating and yoga event. I've done a event about just changing your relationship to scale and non-scale victories.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a run to respect the native folks on the land. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to just get more into the community, see what they need, and go from there.
Cool. That is very exciting, Joe. We'll definitely keep an eye on those developments. How can our listeners connect with you and the Obsidian Mindset? I think you explained that, but can you just tell us exactly where we can find you?
Yes. So my personal IG is Joe the Wellness Curator. Then I have the podcast, Obsidian Mindset, and the wellness group, Obsidian Wellness Club. And if you have questions, feel free to email me at joe@definedbyobsidian.com.
I can't believe we just did this. Thank you, Joe, so much for being on the Risers Hub podcast.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, take care. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. That's what they told me to do at the end of this podcast. So could you hook me up? Thanks. Bye.